Hello and welcome to Chanakya's Face Off. We have with us the Chief of Lifeline Hospital, Dr. J.S. Rajkumar. And thank you again for joining with us, Dr. Rajkumar, amidst your
Good morning,
campaign.
Mala, and good morning to all the viewers.
Thank you. So, Iniki, today we are going to speak about the core of Tamil Nadu, the Delta region. So we are going to analyze, what are the prospects, what are the issues. I mean, there are no great star contestants as far as we could say from Delta regions, but so I would like to start from the issues, the core issues that is going to decide who wins in Delta this year.
So,
What would you
as you
rate or
as you
rank?
rightly said, Mala, there's no. This is not a multi-starrer film. There's a film there where the script and the director have to make this a hit. In other words, I think it's issue-based. No, essentially, what I found out both in research as well as talking to people, we said this is an area that is uh, inert to change. If you ask me, the two ends of the spectrum are Cauvery and Delta. Cauvery is very alive to change, alive to new ideas, willing to experiment. They'll back a new guy. I mean, Mr. Annamalai has come from Karur. He's not even a Cauvery boy, but they're just grabbing him and saying, "We are with you." They're willing to take up new things. Delta, on the other hand, is an area that's very conservative. There is, if you look at the caste equation, two castes play a major role. If you ask me, the two caste equations that will decide are the Mukkulator and the scheduled caste. Across the state, there are very few places with 25%, more than 25% foci of scheduled caste, and this is one of those. In Nagapattinam and Mailadure, there's a fair number of scheduled caste people, and there's been an increase, especially in the non-converted fisher folk, scheduled caste. Second is the not second, really more than them. The largest impact is the Mukkulatur, the Marabar, Kallar, Tevar. And if you look at it, the Sivagangai, Tirunelveli, the more of Marabar, there are more Kallar in the Mannargudi, that Tanjavur, Mailadure belt. So this is a Kallar belt. And one of the major impacts I found, even when I was walking around Shivagangai as late as last afternoon and evening, is the TTV factor. It looks as if TTV is becoming like a little MGR among the Mukkulator. The Mukkulator have completely ganged up behind TTV, even more so than O Selvam. I did a quick survey in about 8 or 10 places. I asked people, if you had to have one leader to come and campaign for you, whom would you choose? This is among the Mukkulatur community. All of them said TTV. I went on and said,
If
why?
that's the case, why cannot TTV Dinakaran make an impact when he was standing alone in the 2021 elections of Tamil Nadu Assembly? He did not sweep the Delta region. He could have,
I
nor the when we look at the statistics, he did not even uh, bag the entire Mukulator votes.
Well, I asked them this question as well, and the answer is that the people are just watching to see who will be affected by failure. They are, let me put it this way, they are extremely positively impacted by the fact that he's got a very cool head above his shoulders, even completely unfettered by or unperturbed by failure. And two people in the group that I spoke to compared Senthil Balaji when he had an ED raid to TTV when he had an ED raid. Both were caught by the same department, both were taken. And one was shouting and crying and saying, "Please leave me, leave me, leave me, leave me," like a child. And one was smiling and saying, "Okay, I know how to look after this." And they look at his fortitude as a very positive factor. It's very, for me, it's a very new learning experience too. That they're looking at, he's saying, yeah, everyone does make something in IT, everyone makes something here and there. So what? What's the big deal? And they're looking at that as maturity. Also, they're saying his Tamil is not complex, not complicated. It's very simple. He approaches them and he's able to answer even his detractors with a smile. So for me, this is all learning experience. And this I asked in Karaikudi, I asked in Kadayampatti, I asked in Sivagangai, I asked in Puliyarpatti, across the board. So his impact in the Delta region is going to be quite a lot. If he comes down and campaigns for Karuppu Muruganandam in Tanjavur, if he campaigns for the so-called a person called M.K.Stalin, who's standing for PMK. It'll be a joke. TTV campaigning for M.K.Stalin, and in Nagai, of course,
Is he
for
also MK Stalin or just Stalin with some other
illa
initial?
M.K.Stalin.
MK Stalin. Okay.
It's amazing to me how people play around with six OP Selvams, O Panir Selvams. There are six of them altogether. I heard that one is going to pull out even five O Paneer Selvams, all O Paneer Selvams competing. It's almost like somebody went on a hunt and brought all the Paneer Selvams. Anyway, there's an M.K. Stalin. He seems to be a genuine Pamaka candidate and PMK candidate. And I think if he is supported by TTV, then the BJP stands a chance in Nagai. So we'll come back to the issues in the Delta region seem to be the same. This is an agrarian belt. It's a farmer belt, and then it's a port belt. This is where, of course,
Coastal
you had
region.
the Pumbuhar and all that, so Korkai. So it's a kind of export belt. So exporting issues, fisher folk issues, and most importantly, agricultural issues. So it is the same thing across all the three places. In Tanjavur, the people I spoke to said that there were more of rice issues. In Mailadure also, rice issues and irrigation issues. In Nagai,
What kind of
right?
rice issues they are talking about?
Well,
Like
basically, the farmers, all the farmers seem to want more per quintal of rice. And
MSP.
although,
Mm.
so this is a complicated thing because you have this, from the central government, you have a cabinet for economic and agricultural affairs fixing a price. And they have also been steadily increasing it by 70 rupees, 60 rupees. They raised it, for example, between 2022, 23 and 23, 24, they raised it by around 7%. And the cabinet said, look, inflation first starts by hitting the rice level because you don't want to people to pay more for too much for their rice. That will impact the whole government. So since inflation is 6 to 7%, they raised it by 7%. But what the farmers feel is that that 7% raise is not enough. And the current 2,183, I think 2203 is the price for the highest level of rice per quintal. They are saying, why can't they do it at 3.5 to 4,000? People will ask, you can ask for anything, of course, if wishes were horses. But the farmers are saying, if that is raised to 3,000 to 4,000, then all our problems will be over. Number one. Number two, um, only one or two people I asked, look, 42 lakh farmers got this DBT. I was watching that moment when the button was hit, and 42 lakh farmers got directly that 6,000 rupees that they were supposed to get into their
Career.
accounts. Big moment. But they said, that was already due to us. It was being taken away by the revenue officers on the way and district officers, the panchayats. It's a very interesting psychological phenomenon that when somebody clears up something for you that you needed to get and which you might not have gotten, the degree of gratitude is not as much as something coming out from somewhere. So you're supposed to get 1,000 rupees, you're only getting 500 rupees, you're now getting that 1,000. And X helps you. You don't give that many votes to X. You're getting 2,000, and then Y comes along and says, I'll make it 1,300. You give Z more value, Y more value, and this has been well captured by the Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winner of economics, by Trotsky and Kahneman. In thinking fast, thinking slow. What makes people think? And that you can bring it down for the election. So, one, price of rice. And we're not going anywhere with, nobody's going to raise it to 3,000 to 5,000. You can't buy millions of tons at that price. The second problem that I found in Mailadure and Nagapatnam, as I said, I found much more on issues. They're not commenting much on the people. So on the candidates, it's more about issues. So they're thinking people, you must remember, Mala, that these three constituencies have a very high voting percentage. Consistently, 70 to 75% of people in these three constituencies have always been voting, say compared to 62% and 58% in places like South Chennai. and central Chennai. So they are thinking people. They are communists. There's a strong communist red flag background because the communist movement in this area was triggered off by people who worked along the along with the fishermen and along the ports. So the next thing they wanted,
Uh,
especially in
Sorry to interrupt you, but communism, the communist background, right? So that's what I wanted to bring. The Nagapattinam BJP candidate is from a
yes,
traditional communist family.
correct,
His
correct.
father was a communist MP during 1977, I believe, but he's from a traditional communist family,
You're
and
right.
he seems to enjoy a little bit of popularity there among the people. How far do you think his communist background is contesting from BJP now? But his family is traditionally known to be a communist family, and how far do you think that's going to give an edge for BJP, or do you think it's not going to carry
No, you're
weight?
right. No, no, you're right, Mala. I mean, look at Samya Anbumani. If Samya Anbumani is standing in a place on behalf of the PMK and the Congress is aligned against the PMK, and that's a 1 year belt, all the 1 years have been voting for so far for the Congress, they will all vote because it's Samya Anbumani. Although, of course, in her case, her father was a Congress leader, but she's the wife and the representative of Pamaka, which is a 1 year plus Pamaka plus Congress. All these things will come in for her. So the family name is something that you can't take away. And as G. Ramesh, not only has he been a local district BJP secretary, not only has he been pretty active, but BJP did a very good thing by including him because of his communist background. As you rightly said, in 77 he was a Lok Sabha MP as a communist,
His
and
family, yeah.
that actually the communist minded people will align not only with his communist background but with his father. They'll say my friend's son or our MP's son, like they say about Samya Ambani's wife. So that is bound to go across that familial, those familial ties. And I think BJP did a very smart move by getting SGM Ramesh there. And also very interestingly, Ramesh is also related to Selvarasu. Selvarasu is the incumbent MP in that area. So,
DMK.
though he's a DMK man, he's a there's a long, very strong family tie there. So I think a little bit when people seem to know this SGM Ramesh or Ramesh Govind or BJP Ramesh, whatever the people call him by different names, there's a swing towards, not a huge swing, but a swing towards him. But you know what everybody said? In this area, they're all thinking people, people who read the papers, who know about little things. I was surprised in Mailadari, one person was telling me that the near Varambambanga, the borders of the ridges that are the borders of the fields, if that is lifted up, then they can hold more water and paddy becomes more fertile. And the government has been promising to do that. But somehow the DMK government has forgotten to do that. And one man is quoting Avayar back to me, saying, Varambu Uira, Neer Uira, Nellu Uirum, Nellu Uira, Kudi Uira, Ko Uirum. So basically, the co is the government. The government will, and the king, Koman Uirwan, do very well by raising that. அந்த காலத்து அவையார் சொல்லிட்டு போயிட்டாங்க இவங்க பண்றேன்னு சொல்லி வரப்பு ஏத்தல. That's one of the big things they want to say. Then they also said that in both these areas, there's like IT and IT enabled services. There is agriculture and agriculture enabled services. They started something called Vivasayi Ubathozhilgal, that is taking people to work in the cooperative society. This is whatever I'm talking is unique for the Delta area and will determine to some extent a percentage of the thinking votes. So the
Value addition
Vivasayi,
to the value addition to the core crops that are being cultivated.
absolutely. Creating the cooperative society, they've created the logistics to take the rice to various places, transport logistics, IT people to coordinate on how many bags are around. So they've, I think, promised a series of stations and substations, each one giving employment for 10 or 15 people who are educated in the cities, who don't want to stay in the cities, but who are not agriculturists. You understand? But so like one person was telling me, my cousins, we all used to live together. He went and studied in Chidambaram. He would like to come and settle here, and he was hoping to come to these agricultural based enabling services substations. I
Hmm.
think the ruling current dispensation, if they haven't yet
And
done that,
Are those small substations getting the funding from the central government schemes? Like,
State government had planned, had promised it. So this is to support the local people for
hmm.
the central government schemes, the enabling schemes, and
No,
some of
my
them.
question is, are these schemes, are these, substations of, or small scale industries, for value addition of the agricultural output. So are they also enjoying any kind of central government schemes or benefits from central government through central government schemes that they are talking about?
I'll tell you how central government comes in here. On the concurrent list, you got the skill schemes, the central government based skill schemes, which of course the Tamil Nadu government calls
The Mudra
non-mudal.
loan and all, that's not coming into play?
Mudra loan. Mudra loan is if a woman there wants to start her own thing, that's
No,
a
yeah,
mudra loan.
for the women part. Yeah,
It's a
but
micro. It's a
I'm
micro
asking
loan.
about, yeah.
So, Mike, this is substation being established by the state government in which people can work. The IT people work. These IT people, they can get trained on the non-Mudalvan scheme. They would have just passed out in Chidambaram last year or this year. They
Mm-hmm.
would have studied that non-Mudalvan scheme is actually concurrent list 70-30 from central and state, which of course the centers fairly upset that it has been converted into a non-middleman by a
Skill India also.
well-placed and opportunistic sticker, if you like. So, but you understand the principle is good. If state and government central work together, these boys who finish their BA or BCom in Chidambaram can come back and work in Mailadurai and Nagapattinam and work along with their families, but as IT people. So that twist is not happening. The third twist that's not happening in Nagapattinam, which they're pretty pissed off about, the fisher folk, is they want cold storage facilities for the fish. I was very surprised. Up to 30% of the fish that they catch in Nagapattinam, they have to be sent for storage to Kerala. And from Kerala, they export it. So why aren't they being? I asked, why aren't you exporting? It's very interesting, Mala, because thanks to the elections, we're also finding out the needs of the common man. At the end of the day, election, democracy, education, all this discussion is common man's needs, you know.
Right.
And the common man is saying, I have to send off my fish at a much lower price to Kerala, and the Kerala guys from Kochi and Trivandrum are exporting it and making big money. Very interesting. So what prevents it that from happening? Cochin, Telaseri, Trivandrum, all these things have got huge cold storage units. Nagapattinam doesn't have cold storage units. They said they were promised both by the central minister of fisheries, Mr. Murugan, as well as by the local MLAs.
I was about to ask about Mr. Murugan's involvement now. You brought in his name. So, I mean, how is BJP handling all these, ground level issues? What is their roadmap? Are they talking about those things, or, I know there was, I mean, during N1 N Makkal, the crowd for Mr. Annamalai in the Delta region was quite surprising because not many people expected him to have so much of turnover. So, but considering what you're telling, like, did they address all this during Mr. Annamalai's N1 Makkar, or how do you
I
think
know
the
that
BJP is doing?
the N Makal was very well and carefully thought out and orchestrated. I didn't follow every one of those speeches, but those that I followed, Mr. Annamlai was very topical about it. In each place, he addressed the issue. He talked about the local patriots. He talked about the local issues, and he said, we address these. But the issue is not that. The issue is these guys are saying they have not all been addressed. I mean, if you look at that gentleman as well, Mr. Annamlai has been going from pillar to post and pillar to post, and he just about managed to complete the whole thing in 6 months. Perhaps if he had another year or two of lead time, he might have brought in a lot of change. But I asked him specifically about two people, about Mr. Murugan and Mr. Parshottam Rupala. And he said that they had brought up all these issues to both these ministers. But again, the last input from both the ministers, that was in December. And I think to establish a large cold storage unit there for fishing is not such an easy thing. I know also that Mr. Parshottam Rupala had discussed with them the concept of this blue storage. It's called Blue Heaven or Blue Storage, something that they brought just like Nagapattinam, Mailadurai Delta area. When there was a problem in Maharashtra, they had this blue storage concept, motorbikes with small blue ice boxes. and the pillion. They said because from Goa and Maharashtra and northern Karnataka, they could not bring the fish for more than a few kilometers. In the heat, the fish were getting spoiled. So they said you can have a huge cold storage unit, keep it there, have lockers, come up and take it every day, go up and down. But if your catch is not so much, you can just have TVS 50s or mopeds with a cold storage where if you're taking a small amount, you can keep riding the bike till you sell all your fish and come back. So Purushottam Rupala had spoken about it in Nagapattinam,
No,
but
but we are speaking about huge volume of fishes to be exported, but this is for local consumption that you're talking about.
local
That's what.
consumption ke illiye pa. They don't have for
Oh,
local also the same. I'm saying you start it. At least the fisher folk will feel okay. I'm loading it. I'm an industrialist myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm on a bike. I'm taking 6 kilograms or 8 kilograms or 10 kilograms and selling it today, and I reap some more money. The issue is about change. That change has not happened to the delta farmers, and that is an element of grouse both against the center and against the state. And then all of them ended there. These few people whom I spoke to in the delta area all ended the same. They all do the same. They won't look after us.
but
Then the
still,
final thing,
Delta is core for DMK. Delta has been continuously. It's been the stronghold of DMK,
yes,
and it. Are you telling me with all these issues running around, it's still a stronghold for DMK? Is what you are telling me?
it's very interesting that they seem to be blaming the central government a little bit more than the state government, and also they're not fully aware of BJP. They're looking at Mr. Annamalai as a maverick. I'll quickly come to the candidates now that we've discussed the issues.
Just
One
one more
last
point,
issue.
doctor. The one more point, since we are closing down on the issues. How about the Kaveri water? The
Beautiful.
Kaveri issue
Thank you for bringing that up. That the Cauvery is the lifeline of every farmer in the
in the Delta.
entire delta area. No Cauvery, no delta. They're all in a way Ponni and Selvargal. They're all children of the Cauvery. And addressing the water issue, we are talking here about the guy saying you lift up the ridges of our fields so that we can save more water. Imagine what they will say if Kaveri is allowed to come inside. But then when you talk to the Delta farmer, he comes straight to you with hatred for Karnataka. I don't know why that is. Maybe because of years of politicking and sloganeering. Karnataka government.
How about the governments? Who are they blaming for the Kaveri issue now? Because the central government, the Kaveri Tribunal Board has approved it in favor of Tamil Nadu. Still, we are not getting the sufficient water. Is that I mean, are they speaking that until BJP was in power in Karnataka, this Kaveri issue did not surface up?
No, it's
And the moment
interesting.
the government changed in Karnataka, the farmers in Tamil Nadu are again facing Kaveri issue. Are they
Yes.
aware of this kind of what is
Oh,
happening in Karnataka, or are they just blindly blaming the governments, be it central or state?
interesting. They're not blaming the central government. The ones whom I spoke to, small sample survey.
Mhm.
You Rangraj Pandey guys, you will do in 10,000 and 5,000. I'm bringing up 5 people, 6 people in the little time that I have. Hey boss, what's happening? What's up? They are not blaming the center or state. They are blaming only the Karnataka government. They are saying the Karnataka government has always been lying about their farmers' problems. Apparently, the papers that they read, the Tamil papers, portray it as if the Kaveri farmers are not suffering. But when I spoke to people in Bangalore, they're saying that Bangalore is struggling without water. And their Kaveri farmers are threatening suicide without water. So this is a genuine environmental problem. And simply blaming the Kaveri Water Tribunal Board or blaming the Karnataka government will not be enough. We have to come together as a country, as Tamil Nadu plus Karnataka, central government, and two state governments, and solve the issue. And the ideal way to solve the issue is what Sadhguru said. He said, link the waters. Even in the South India, we had Narmada, Godavari, Krishna floods, and all that water just went waste. We could have had millions and millions and millions of cusecs of water coming in here. So both rainwater harvesting to a certain extent and huge amount of water linkaging. If we can just cut down all this unnecessary argument and come together, it'll be fine. The last point is air pollution. Apparently, a lot of coal from Neyveli in the air, Neyveli Lignite Corporation, lot of peat and coal particles in the air, and that area around this Neyveli, this Sirgadi, Neyveli Sirgadi, up to Nagapatnam. The air pollution is high. And people are telling me in Nagur, and the interesting thing is in Nagur, our people live in very good harmony. So I asked, what about the Muslim vote? Will you all go against one side? And then the interesting that the Nagur Delta people are saying, no, 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 we are completely different from Ramanathapuram. There they vote differently. We don't consider ourselves different. We're all together. Because there's Nagur, there is Tirunallar, and there's Velangani close by. So that's a nice, happy thought for me. There's a lot of harmony there. But the Nagur people are saying that the dargah cleaning is becoming more and more difficult because of the amount of coal. So the amount of money they spend, the manpower, all that, not only the dargahs and the neighboring buildings, everything is becoming more. So Nagapatnam to for Mailadure, Sirgari, Neyveli, all of them are having an air pollution issue. So water management, air pollution, very good basic issues that need to be addressed. They're not asking for multiple industries. Sivaganga, they were saying, give us industries. We want to industrialize. Here they're saying, help our fisher folk export. Help our fisher folk not lose the fish. Very interesting. Each area I'm finding the needs are very different. So it's fish, it's air pollution, it's getting cold storage, increasing the ridging, increasing the water. I mean, this would be
And
and
MSP.
of course minimum support price for rice. These are the major five issues. I'm saying this because Mala, at the end of the day, we want change for society. Whoever addresses this, not addresses this in front of a mic, but addresses this to the people who will come in. Very quick run through of candidates. This lady called Sudha, who's a Brahmin lady, was a congresswoman who stood
Advocate.
even last time. She's an advocate. She's a human rights activist. She seems to have the backing of the local DMK, including some of the DMK people who worked for Mr. Ramalingam, who is the incumbent MP in Mailadure.
Mhm.
So seems to be some push towards. So you must remember that this area is so cosmopolitan, so free with their votes. This is the place where even at the height of the anti-Brahmin movement, Manishankar Iyer was thrice MP from Mailadure, and he went on to become even a central minister. So maybe, if you ask me,
His
are
name
we
was
seeing
his
under
name was considered
Manishankar?
till the last minute, but it
Yes.
was a surprise. Sudha was given a chance. Mm.
But are we seeing another Mani Shankar Iyer that Sudha is boldly? I'm quite happy that a Brahmin candidate is being given some representation. You know, in a place where people ask how
It's
many
it's
SCs
very
have been
unlikely
represented.
in Tamil Nadu.
Very unlikely in Tamil Nadu. Somehow, social justice seems to be social justice to all, to the exclusion of the Brahmins. The movement might have come from Brahmin domination, but that doesn't mean you must exclude the Brahmins from it. It becomes a vendetta scene, and I'm happy that she is there. The second person that I'm hearing a bit about is somebody called Babu, newcomer, who's been participating in a lot of local debates, etc. He's an ADMK district secretary, and he helped in the last elections. He is Mr. Babu. The third one is Pamaka. They have fielded a person called Stalin against a newcomer, again a newcomer, M.K. Stalin. Please don't ask me whether it's Muthuvel Karnanidhi Stalin, but I couldn't find that. But he's M.K. Stalin, newcomer, and he's banking again. All these people are banking on perhaps TTV Dinakaran walking through. So that's my line. If you ask me, slight swing towards Congress. It's always been a Congress bastion.
Congress best.
Towards Congress, Sudha, maybe second place, ADMK. That's one thing. The NDA doesn't seem to, from what I see, doesn't seem to
Seem to
have
be
made any
interested.
impact at all in Mailadure. And if you look at the DMKs that are supporting them, of the 6 DMKs in that area, that Mailadure constituencies, 5 are DMK and 1 is a Congress person. So those people are also all working for the Congress person. So I think for all these reasons, Ms. Sudha seems to stand slightly higher chance than Mr. Stalin or Mr. Babu. That's about Mailadure. If you come to Tanjavur, we should talk a little bit more about two fairly good candidates actually. One candidate is a well-known candidate, Mr. Karuppu Muruganandam. He's well known as a quote unquote don in that area, big organizer. He organized the Yenman Yen Makkal.
He's the Hindutva face of Tanjavur.
Correct. He's affectionately known as Karuppu. Good that he could take on the color and say, "Look, I'm black." It's a very communist kind of statement, but he took it on. He is the Hindutva face. He's been with the Hindu Munani movement. He's a very strong BJP man. He's not jumped from one party to another. He organized the Yenman Yen Makkal. A little bit known for outbursts and a little bit known for uh, tendency towards violence of words. Even yesterday, unfortunate controversy when they stopped him, local election commission officers stopped him. Apparently, he stopped in the middle of the road instead of in the side, blocking the entire traffic behind. I think that these elections and these conversations are opportunities for us to tell the people and to tell the candidates that you have to be decent. At the end of the day, it's about good, decent people being selected. That itself will be a surprise for some. But he blocked the road and got out and started yelling at all the election officers and the sub inspector, and he threatened them by saying that he would file a suit against them and threatened them that he would make them run up and down. You'll be running up and down courts for the next 5 years of your life.
Tamil Nadu
That's
doesn't seem to have a problem with politicians threatening. You remember in 2021 elections,
yes,
the current Minister for Sports Development, Mr. Udayanidhi Stalin, was telling DGP தானே இதானே பேரு பார்த்துக்கலாம். You
correct,
remember
correct,
that?
correct. That was also doing
So
the rounds.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So kind of, Tamil Nadu, I don't know, I'm not encouraging it. End of the day, they are the real public servants and any kind of political threats and stuff. But are the people really taking these things very seriously?
This is the problem. The average voter, the voter demographics has come down. And for many of these people, they give a name for this swag. So, our gettu, and they vote for it. Whereas, older people like myself and older fashioned people like myself will think there should be respect. I mean, you want this guy to represent the people, to stand for what the Tirukural talked, etc. So anyway, Mr. Karuppu Muruganandam is still very popular because apparently he's approachable. He does things quickly without he's a top of sort of person who will pick up the phone and say, "Let me finish this." But interestingly, the DMK has fielded a very interesting candidate there. They have fielded a candidate. They've come away from Mr. Panimanikam, been there 70 plus, been there for years and years and years. So won twice from there. He was a minister of state, that too in a very critical in finance actually, and revenue. And they
Murasoli.
fielded a youngster. From 70, they've gone to 40. They've gone to a person known as
Murasoli.
Murasoli. It's a nice, typical Dravidian name, solid Dravidian background. His father was also in the DMK. Uncle was a DMK, all portfolio holders, and he's from a place called Tenankudi. In the Tenankudi, he was organizing a number of youth movements. He seems to have a good name. No rowdyism. He is a social activist. He's fought for Samuganidhi. So I think as you rightly said, no stars here. Karuppu Muruganandam is the closest you have to a star, and it's a Karuppu Muruganandam versus Murasoli. Both of them have been good party functionaries, no jumpers up and down like we saw in Mr. Saravanan in Madurai. There's nobody like that. There's nobody like that anywhere in
My
the state.
my final question in this area, sorry to cut you through,
No,
but
no.
you when you started about the caste equation, you called out two important castes. One is the Mukulator, the other one is the scheduled caste. So for Mukulator, we spoke about TTV Dinakaran and everybody. What is the impact of the scheduled caste people in the Delta region? The BJP especially had a man who stood as a face for BJP among the scheduled caste people, uh, Mr. Tada Peresami, and you know that he has left the party. And how much of a dent is he leaving the party? How much of a dent is it going to create for BJP?
So I think, personally, I think it was not a correct move to completely, shall we say, uh, root him out,
Isolate? Yeah.
displace him without maybe without adequate preparation. And we all know that we're all expecting Tada Periswamy to stand and beat Mr.
Mr.
Thirumavalavan in
Dinakaran.
Chidambaram. So he was suddenly moved out from Chidambaram. Somebody from Vellore, Kartyani, good candidate, by herself as an individual candidate, high integrity, moved in to Chidambaram without any preamble. Now, that there was an element of what looked a little high handed to the people, and to him certainly, because he is fairly miffed. Getting
No,
a Tara
it's
Peris.
also given this image that BJP is trying to build, citing Mr. Murugan, that we are a scheduled caste favoring party. They have always been quoting Mr. L. Murugan that he's given a central minister. Now, but in a place where the presence of BJP is very less, someone like Tada Perisami, who has brought in that community factor for BJP, removing him from that equation is going to definitely cost them. Correct?
I agree. And see, Chidambaram is not very far away from Tanjavur and Mailadure. They're all part of the same belt. It's just they
Yeah.
could have easily given him, allocated one of these three seats to him, and there's no star. You're searching. Who's this Ramesh Govind? Who's this Vijay Raghavan? One independent, interesting guy. To show the environmental places, when he came to register as a candidate, there's a candidate called Vijay Raghavan, independent guy. He came in a bullock cart to show the plight of the farmers and the price of diesel. And he came carrying gas cylinders in that. So, but I'm saying they're all unknown people are trying to make a dent. Getting a Tada Peresami might have made a big difference for BJP. Certainly, even now, getting TTV Dinakaran, I'm telling this as a closing statement. The TTV Dinakaran pull on the Mukkalathur is much higher than the Tada Peresami pull on the scheduled caste. Even the scheduled caste in this area are thinking more like communists. But the Mukkalathur, they are bang behind TTV across the state. So perhaps in their equation, they would have felt that bringing TTV to the Delta area would garner a larger number of um, Mukulathur votes, and getting Tadapiri in here would not make such a big difference. And therefore, in their calculation, they would have let him go. I mean, I'm just rationalizing and thinking how they would think. So overall, to conclude, I would think in Nagai, probably SD Ramesh from BJP has a slightly better chance, although it can go anyway. It can just go to anybody. But in Tanjavur and Mailadure, in Tanjavur, Karpu Muruganandam, some chance Murusoli looks a little bit more towards Murusoli with DMK in Congress piling on there. And in Mailadure, with for Sudha, DMK in Congress piling on there, it looks like they'll make it. So that's what it looks like. It's going to be
In
a
short,
DMK,
DMK sweeps the Delta again.
DMK Congress, at least 2 out of 3,
They're going to sweep the Delta
or
again.
maybe 2 on 3. Maybe a Karuppu Muruganathan may squeak through, or a Ramesh may squeak through. Otherwise, it's going to be an INDI kind of area in the Delta Belt.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thanks for taking time and talking to us. We'll continue this discussion with another 3 interesting constituencies tomorrow. Until then, take care and namaskaram.
Thank you so much, Mala. Thank you.
Thank you.